We are about to be joined by our very first guest, and there's no better guest to have on the show than the great Marty Lyons, who's going to sit down with us here at his Charity Golf Classic. Marty, welcome to the show, my friend. Let's get him set with the audio here.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. It's good to see you.
Great to have you here. Let me start with this. Thank you for having us here, and it's great to have you on the show, Marty.
It's a pleasure. You know, this 39 straight years of having a golf outing. You get to see old faces, new faces, and of course, there's going to be missing faces along the way.
Are you a golfer yourself, Marty?
I am, but I'm not playing today. I'm just going to ride around and thank people for their support and thank people for coming out.
For you, doing this as many years as you have, how have you seen the foundation grow from its inception to where we are here in 2025?
Well, when you look about back in 1982, there was only 6 people around the table, and we were all thinking about, okay, how can we help kids that are being cheated out of life? And one of them was Kenny Shroy, my teammate and roommate with the Jets, and his wife Susan, and 3 other individuals. And I guess the mainstay at that time was a guy named Bill Gibney. He said, well, the first thing you got to do is you got to go and file to be a nonprofit, 501c3. And I go, okay. So once we got our nonprofit status, then we started to try to raise money. And then we had our first wish. And first wish was for a boy named Steve. And if he was alive today, he'd be 59, 69. 59. He's up there. But unfortunately, he passed away. And, you look back now and it's been 43 years. The growth of the foundation has gone from 6 people to now we operate in 14 states. And we've helped over 8,700 families.
When you were a player and you started to think about ways that you could give back, could you ever imagine the foundation would come to this? Where I have a little off screen here. I was holding it earlier, Marty. This might be the heaviest trophy of all time, the Walter Payton Man of the Year trophy. Pure bronze. Are they still this heavy, by the way? I can't imagine they're like this, are they?
Jake, you know what? I'm not sure, but getting back to your question, when I was playing, all I worried about was football. And then all of a sudden, sometimes it takes a tragedy to wake up. And on March 4th, my oldest son was born in 1982. On March 8th, my dad passed away at the age of 58. And on March 10th, a little boy that I was a big brother to died at 5.5. So in a matter of 6 days, you go from the ultimate high to the ultimate low, and the next day and the next week. And all of a sudden, time doesn't stop for you. And you realize, hey, God gave you the ability to play the game of football, gave you the ability to go to the University of Alabama. Now you're with the Jets. That's not your purpose in life. Do something with the opportunity that he gave you. And unfortunately, it took a tragedy, but all tragedy, something good can come out of it if people, dedicate their time, their effort, and find a purpose.
Marty Lyons with us here as we broadcast live for the Marty Lyons Foundation Celebrity Golf Tournament. I'm always curious about this in regards to the current Jets. They named their Community Service Award the Marty Lyons Award. How did that come about, and how much does that mean to you to this day that your recognition, your charity work is still honored every year?
Well, what means a lot that I've been involved with the organization 46 years, and then for them to name an award after me and get inducted to their Jets Ring of Honor, it just tells me how much the organization, believes in myself as an individual, believes in the foundation, and it puts an extra responsibility on every time that I go out because I represent them. I represent them in the community. And if it wasn't for Mr. Hess and the conversations that I had with him to start the foundation, I don't know if we'd be sitting here, Jake, but Mr. Hess was very generous with his time and his money. And he said, you know what? I'll totally support the foundation. My teammates still come back. Bob Crable, Lance Mel, Greg Buttle, Kenny Shroy, all the guys are still
Klecko
here.
will be here tonight.
Klecko will be here tonight. And, I just saw Phil Villapiano, who I got to meet while he was with the Raiders. And he said, hey, he told his wife this morning, as long as he's doing it, I'll be there.
That's awesome. And Quincy Williams was the recipient this past year. I think Quinnen is one of them as well. I know a fellow Alabama guy, so it's cool to see that award carry on. Now, for you with the Jets specifically, of course, everyone knows you not just as a player but as a long-standing radio analyst. What was it like this past year making the transition, of course, not being in that booth and having
Yeah.
a different role with the organization?
Well, it was kind of strange because, the one thing that I always liked and enjoyed doing is going down before the game, talking to the players and, letting the players know, hey, I watched it last week. You know, this is what I think you need to watch out and try to give them a little bit more of an input as a former player, not as a coach. They don't want to take that responsibility away from the uh, the coach position coach, but I always enjoyed interacting with the players. Now I get to interact with the fans and the sponsors and let them know how important they are to the organization. Still represent the organization at either at a speaking engagement or a dinner, and 46 years later, I'm still working for them. So I'd like to get to 50. It'd be great to get to 50, 4 more years of wearing the Jet banner because once you're a Jet, you're always a Jet. Even if you leave and go away, you can always be a Jet because they always open their arms for you.
I see you're wearing the Jets Ring of Honor ring. Is that what that is right
It
there?
is. I had a national championship ring from college, and when I first came in the league in 1979, I went to, right after the season was over, I went to the NFL Strongest Man competition to watch Joe Klecko compete. And, you know, there was a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers guys there with the Super Bowl rings. And so I looked at their ring and I pulled my national championship ring off. And I said to my wife, I said, I'll never wear this again until I get one of those. And the only time that I put it on was when Coach Bryant passed away as a tribute to him. And then I had it sized and gave it to my oldest son.
Talking with Marty Lyons here, and a reminder: super chats are going to go towards a donation, memberships as well. We're going to give away a signed photo of the New York Sack Exchange by both Joe and Marty on the show today, as we're here broadcasting from Marty's Charity Golf Classic for his foundation. Joe Klecko, I have to ask you about him. What did it mean to you to have the opportunity to be his presenter in Canton during his Hall of Fame ceremony?
Well, it meant the world to me because now you're looking at a former teammate, but also a great friend. And, he had his son Danny, who has 3 Super Bowl rings. He's going to be here today. And I always felt like, hey, you know what, Joe, maybe one of your boys should do it. And he said, no. He said, my boys will get up here and they'll talk about dad. You can talk about me as a player. And I remember I used that quote from Martin Luther King where he said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you have to do, you have to keep moving forward. And that's what Joe did. He waited a long time to finally get into the Hall of Fame.
Did you think he was going to ever get in, like in your heart of hearts?
Well, put it this way, Jake. When I got the job doing the Jets radio in 2001, I said, you know what? As long as I'm up here in the booth, I'm going to push for Joe Namath. The last year I did the radio was 2023, and that's when Joe went into the Hall of Fame. So
mission accomplished.
Man, I would think so, Jake. It was great, and it was great to represent the Jets organization. And Joe is just a good friend, and he'll do anything for anybody. And he was the chairman of the New York Sack Exchange. He made it happen.
The Sack Exchange documentary. It's the first time I've had you on the show since that came out with ESPN. What were your thoughts on that? Did you feel like it was a really accurate depiction of what that era of the Sack Exchange was like for you?
I really did. I thought they were nice to all of us. I know that Mark wasn't happy with the way he was portrayed, and I don't want to get into that because I know that there's a litigation going on. And for us to be remembered so many years after the fact of playing. I was very grateful. It brought us back into the limelight. It brought us back out into public. And the best part about it is, we got to do it before Abdul passed away. He wasn't feeling well for the last couple of years, and we got to do it. Abdul felt so special, and unfortunately, he passed away, I think, maybe 2-3 months after we did it.
This photo of you guys is so iconic in football history, let alone Jet history. What was it like to record some of the interviews for the documentary back at the actual New York Stock Exchange where you guys took this iconic photo?
Well, the way they did it, Jack. Jake, they interviewed each one of us for 4 hours. Wow. And then they interviewed the group for about 4 hours. And then they put it all together. They cut, spliced, edited. So we didn't know what they were going to use, what they weren't going to use, how they pulled from one piece, or one conversation and put it to another and then put an answer to that question. We didn't know. We had a great deal of confidence that ESPN, the NFL would do the right thing, and yeah, I think they did. It's sad, and like I said on the 30 for 30, it's sad that we didn't get along better. But what we did do is we got along on Sunday because we had to play together, and that's the way life is sometimes. Everybody's not going to get along. Everybody's not going to see eye to eye. But as long as you have the same common goal on one particular day, you'll be all right.
Let's get your thoughts on the current state of the Jets before we wrap up here with you, Marty. Aaron Glenn, now a former player, someone I'm sure that you got a chance to interact with during all your years with the organization. He's now the head coach. What have been your impressions watching him go through OTAs, minicamp? Just your thoughts on the new head coach?
I think the one thing about AG is you look at the tree that he came off of. He played for 5 different teams. He made the Pro Bowl 3 times. He played for Bill Parcells, worked underneath Dan Campbell. Just great experience and a great guy. That's the key. He is a great guy and he's a Jet. So he knows what it takes to win and he's very disciplined. He's going to make sure the players are well prepared. He's going to make sure that the players are not just playing for themselves, but they're playing for the guy next to them, the organization, and the fans. So I don't know if it'll be this year that they'll turn the corner, but I think it's only a matter of time. They've got to understand you can't go in the last 10 years 2-8 against Buffalo. You can't go in the last 5 years 2-8 against Miami. You've got to win your division, and you've got to find a way to beat Josh Allen. Not just at home, but you got to beat Josh Allen in his own building. And I think with the defense and everything coming together, I have high hopes. I always start off optimistic in the year, and you got to start fast, and you got to weather all the injuries, and then you've got to finish strong.
When you look at a team from your broadcaster perspective or just being a former player, I think there's a lot of Jet fans who maybe don't have expectations. Hey, this team's going to make the playoffs in year 1. But what are some things we could look at from an Aaron Glenn coach team that we could say, we feel like they're headed in the right direction. This team is being properly coached, and we feel good about the direction of the team?
Well, the first thing is I don't think that this team's going to hurt themselves. You hurt yourself with penalties, false starts. I think they're going to be disciplined enough where you're not going to give away that free yardage. I think they're going to be disciplined, knowing their responsibilities, knowing where they got to line up, knowing what the defense is, knowing what the offense is. And I'm happy, very excited to watch Justin Fields because with today's offense, you need a quarterback with the mobility to get outside the pocket and pick up a few extra yards, slide when you have to. And now that I think the tight ends are going to get more involved. If you can get the tight ends involved, that ties up the middle of the field so that when you're wide receiver, he can't be doubled. So there's a lot of different mixes that they're going to use on offense, but I think it really starts with Justin Fields, and I'm happy he's a Jet now.
Have you thought about what MetLife Stadium could one day sound like if the Jets ever had another home playoff game? I don't think they've had one since your first year as a broadcaster back in 2002.
Well, I know that JETS will be loud and it'll be often, and it'd be exciting for the fans. I think the fans deserve it. They've been waiting. They've been sitting on their hands, for so many years, just hoping, praying, and you get to Thanksgiving and you go, oh no, So keep yourself in the game. That's it. Make the games relevant in the month of December, and give yourself every opportunity, and make sure that you're prepared, and make sure that every player has to understand that it's your responsibility to get yourself ready. If you're looking for the coach to motivate you, then you know what, there might be a problem. But he will motivate you.
Oh, yeah.
But you just need to motivate yourself because everybody has the ability to play in the NFL that are in the NFL. The difference is how well prepared you are from the shoulders up.
Marty, let's get you out of here on this. For those who want to be a part of the Marty Lyons Foundation, make a charitable contribution, what is the best way to do that?
Best way to do it is go to the MartyLyonsFoundation.org. And also, if you have children that want to get out there, high school kids that want to get out and play flag football, we have a flag football game and we host it over at MetLife. And we certainly could use everybody's support. I always tell people, number one, we need financial support. We've helped over 8,700 families, but the average wish has gone from 2,500 to 7,100 in the last 43 years. So we got to raise more money. And if you don't have money, if you have time, donate time because it's the only commodity you can't make more of. So if you don't have money, you don't have time. Give us your thoughts and prayers, and maybe one prayer is answered and we save a life. We're trying to create hope where sometimes hope doesn't exist, and we can learn a lot by working with children that are being cheated out of life because they make you appreciate who you are. They make you appreciate everything that you have around you, and they're there one day and gone the next.
Marty, thank you for having us here. And I always get a kick out of the fact that one of the toughest players in the history of the Jets is also one of the nicest guys to ever play for the organization. So thank you so much. Continued
My
success
pleasure,
with the
Jake,
foundation.
and thoughts and prayers to everybody down there in Kerr County, down in Texas. We're praying for you. We hope everybody is found so that they can have closures, and thoughts and prayers are with you because that's a once in a lifetime event that took away too many lives, too many young lives too.
He's Marty Lyons. My name is Jake Asman. Quick break. We'll continue. We got a bunch of great guests joining us here live from Marty's Foundation Tournament here on Long Island.